Well, Will, thanks for sitting down to chat. This is going to be episode 4 for the RiskCast AI podcast that homegrown right out of the Tabris Open Call night a couple of months ago, and all of the excitement and energy around the AI building community, the people that are using AI to deploy OpenClaw agents, or now just in the last couple of months, the rapid evolution of not just that system, multiple other systems, the rollout of almost daily Claude skills, and then people like yourself using these different tools to amplify their experiences. So I'm excited to like purposefully sit down and chat more about what you've been building and how you got here.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Yeah, there's so much to go over in so little time. But yeah, I'm, the founder of Monveri, and it's a tool that I've been building for a while, but with Claude is definitely amplified so much. Like it allowed me to do so much very quickly, which is crazy. um, with someone who has a background of developing since 2006, in PHP and doing web development since 1999, the speed that Claude AI is just like massively amplified that.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And only continues to add in ways to amplify it.
Oh, yes.
Because in 6 months ago, even, I don't think it was capable of assisting in the same way it was 3 months ago. And just the inflection point feels like is that upward swing that we're on is just
Yes.
even faster. So, yeah.
Yes.
So, uh, tell tell us a little bit more about Monveri and kind of where you are right now, what it's doing.
So Monveri is a business app or application. It's web based with iOS companion right now. Um, Currently, it's only on iOS in dev. I'm about to push it to the App Store and get it approved and that whole 9 yards.
It's a big milestone.
It is. It's huge. Never thought I would have an iOS app that I've done. But the Android is currently on plan stage and it'll start being implemented next week. Um, I am working on a KDS, a kitchen display system for like cafes, bakeries, and stuff along that line. But just where Monveri Business Suite is right now, it is practically finished. It does invoicing, quoting, point of sale, services, consignments, subscription based stuff. It connects to various other marketplaces and pull into orders so that you have a one stop tracking system where you don't have to go to each one and say, okay, how many orders do I have here? How many orders have here? Or, oh my God, I have 30 quantity over here. I only have three and I have 4 orders for them,
Yeah.
kind of thing. It all puts it together. And Monveri sends out the actual on hand to every platform that's connected right now so that you have a consistency of inventory across the board. And if it sells on Shopify, it will update Etsy. It'll
Okay.
update your Amazon.
All right. So you said it was like all in one business suite. Let's maybe help anchor this and focus the
Okay.
where where did this idea come from? How is it helping you that you thought like this tool is what I need and others do too?
So I do have a Shopify account, and at one point I was paying close to 350 a month, just add-ons, add-ons, add-ons. I pay Shopify $80. Then I have this other add-on that's $30. This other add-on that's $40. And I also sell on Etsy. I also have some Amazon. I also sell on Walmart on various things with some of my products with Carolina Thread Place, like stabilizer. I sell it all over the place. So when I sold out on one marketplace, I forgot about one. Well, lo and behold, I got an order
But
on Walmart.
inventory's out of sync.
Inventory completely out of sync. So that got me thinking, what can I do in the development side, since that's my background, to get all this to talk? And then I was talking to other retailers, and they're like, I love selling on this, but I hate selling on this. Here's my pain points. Here's all the different things. And it really got me, okay, I can build this. I'm building it for me ultimately. Everything
Yeah.
about this is what I need. There's some add-ons for people who, like, hey, this is a pain point. I'm like, well, I don't see that pain point, but you know what? Let's add it, because I'm pretty sure hundreds of other people have that pain point.
Cool. Yeah.
So I built it for myself, and as I was building it more and more, I'm like, man, this is something that it could be a good SaaS, platform, and it'd be great not just for the beginner, crafter, side hustle warrior, whatever you want to call yourself, or enterprise like, multi-location businesses. This will grow with you to maker to multi business owner.
Very cool. So yeah, I love that story, and I think it's one that you see in lots of startups going back decades, that like the founder had a problem and they really started with something that either a true pain point, or they wished that they had a more convenient, more seamless, simple, whatever the case is,
Exactly.
experience,
Exactly.
and then figured out that other people wanted it too.
Exactly. And another key point that I, especially right now, with security, is a huge issue,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to say who, but other marketplaces, you you share data with everyone else in these other marketplaces. So your customer, your invoices, or your orders, everything is a shared database. That's a point. That's a security issue with me.
Yeah.
So if XY gets, this one other customer gets compromised, how am I affected? Because they're going to the same database that all my information's in.
And you don't really know because there's not
Exactly.
transparency and accessibility of that data.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I make it a point that every store is a tenant, its own tenant, which means they have a dedicated database and a file set,
Cool.
so that there is no cross pollination of the information. It's one entry point and then it's gone. That's
I
the
love it.
only time everyone sees the same login page. But every database has its own password and all that, so it's pretty nice.
That's really cool. Okay, so you've been building web apps, software for 20, 25,
Yeah.
almost 30 years. Don't mean to date you as we walk through the numbers, but that's the math. You had this idea because you've been a small business owner juggling all of these different platforms for a long time. Sounds like this idea has been percolating as problems
Yes,
for a long time.
it has.
What was your aha moment in as you saw, I don't have to try to figure out how to write 250,000 lines of code myself, or however many it is. I have the idea. I know what the top to bottom stack should look like, and I can orchestrate it.
I mean, you knew how much I was against AI at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Early this year, I was like, man, AI, no, no, no. But we've had conversations. I'm giving you credit because I'm giving you credit for the 3D printing too. We've had the conversations, and you showed me some things that you were doing, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to have it do it for me. I want it as a tool.
Yeah.
And that's how I approached it, because AI, it can be a tool, but you also need to make sure that you give it very clear instructions.
Right.
And there are times that me and Claude have gone to a cussing match.
Yep.
AI, forget the term, but AI exhaustion is real.
Yeah.
But you know, as you do it more and more, you start to learn yourself. This works. This doesn't. You need to put, give it some markdown files to develop it, and say, okay, keep this in your memory, and it always reads those markdown files, and you
Right.
can build those yourself.
Yep.
You don't have to just tell it to do it. You can, and I have like an implement in markdown file, like clear instructions. I have a do first, which means put it in plan stage. And it tells you, very first thing in plan, do not write code, do not do this, do this. Here's my template. This is where I want it. And just clear instructions. And even at the very bottom, I have something that says for will only,
Ah. Okay.
and it ignores that. And it's my kind of like in scripting your function. So you put that in and you give it the three variables, and it's the title of the plan, it's the repository branch, and if I want a version bump or not. And I give it those three, and then I give a description underneath what I want, and I can either type it or talk into it, and it builds my plan. I have a plan template, and anytime I go out of it, I say, hey, you did not do this. You need to do this. And it will go in and fix and change and modify
As far as
the
the
plan itself.
plan and
Yes.
documents, so that way it's not only adjusting your plan for what you're working on,
Mhm.
but are you also having it in that same back and forth fix the files that way next time it remembers that
Yes.
tweak? Awesome.
The biggest problem is sometimes it will give me a long name, which will push it off of the out of the box per
Okay.
se, because I do things in phases, and every box is a phase. There's also like a scope of work, a table of contents, so that because it creates a to do JSON entry where it I have, and of course Claude built that for me, but you know some minor styling, you just have to say you need to shorten this word or things like that. And it most of the time, like I did 7 plans this morning, everything looks great.
7 plans.
7 plans.
Okay. So you walked us through, I think, a little bit of your setup
Mhm.
for, I'm gonna call it, for lack of a better phrase, like the team instructions. Like, if you were building a dev team, you'd kind of
Yes,
want these to be like the best practices for how we operate, what we're going to be doing to work together to make sure that we're staying on track, and what we're
exactly.
working on and building and delivering aligns with what we imagined when we started planning.
And
That
scope and out of scope as well.
cool. So then you've got the plan, or in
Mhm.
this case 7 plans.
Yes.
Are you telling it to go one by one? Are you deploying multiple agents, sub agents? What's your
I'm
strategy there?
I'm more hands on. I've learned that in my setup, one plan at a time is works best. Um, just because I do it through VS Code. I use Claude Code within VS Code, and even if you have two separate windows, they both connect to the same repository branch, which is fun with me. It's it allows me to focus on that, do a thorough testing, all that fun stuff, and then merge, and go from there. So I will do implement. I use my implement down markdown file, and all I do is feed it the task number, and it finds it, it reads that file, and then starts implementing it. Um,
Cool.
so it will have some questions here and there, but generally during the planning stage, it will ask its questions Because like right now, it's actually implementing one of those plans, one of the larger plans, since I knew I was going to be away for a while, and I even have it set up before when I do implement auto yes,
Yeah.
everything is yes. Go ahead and push it. Here's the commit message, and I will tell it I will be back at this time,
Oh, okay.
and it will. And if it gets to that point, it will stop and ask questions, any questions it has. And I have it set up that it will auto create a pull request during this time frame. So CodeRabbit is another AI that I use for reviewing.
Yep.
Will start reviewing the code and start telling me, hey, here's some AI slop, here's some hallucinations, this is closing before this happens, so stuff like that. And even code that I write myself, I sent through CodeRabbit because you forget things.
Yeah, he's still just one person. Too.
Exactly, but that's the whole during the implementation part. A lot of times I'll sit there and watch the code, and I'll even stop in the middle and say, hey, this is not what I said. Let's fix this instead. Let's do it this way, and things along those lines as well. I think I've interrupted Claude at least once every implementation.
Okay. What's the biggest, I don't know if mistake's quite the right word, but along the lines of a mistake where, or just a direction that it's taking that starts to feel like it's varying from what you thought it was going to be, that you've seen and had to course correct?
The biggest one that I've seen, especially before I've learned to do a new tab per plan, like I would try to just do boom, 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 compact, boom, 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 compact.
Yeah.
Ew, that doesn't, you get a lot of hallucinations.
The longer it goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even though this recent update has gotten much better, I still do every tab a new project, or new plan. Um, Before that, the biggest problem is it will style each plan, the HTML, totally different, and it
Interesting.
wasn't very fluid. So I implemented follow this page because it's got all the branding on it. So I built a branding page, manually, and
Yep.
say, okay, these are the primary colors, these are the secondary colors. You need to make sure that these can be changed because I have a branding set up for each client. They don't like my orange and blue, they want green and red or whatever.
Yep.
They can do their own, and it changes the whole system for them.
Yep.
But it's not hard coded number, or the hexadecimal. It's master, not master, primary color, secondary color,
Yep.
and all that stuff. So the biggest problem before I implemented that big change is the colors were just all over the place.
I can see that.
Cards were different, um, tables were different. So I have and I use data tables. These are the extras that I want. When it comes to reporting, these are what I want, because even when I implemented 46 different reports, every report looked completely different.
Yeah, that would be tough to actually sort through, right? It sounds familiar though. The one day one shot lab that I did with Charles DeAndrea that's in Tabris as well.
Mm.
We're in their small focused session, and I'm working on a SaaS platform on that day too, because I think similar in some ways to you. Like I saw the capability. I'm like, this is something where I don't need to just give it an idea for a web app that I can just go to that's gonna live in HTML on a page.
Yeah.
I can actually think through my full infrastructure authentication into the UI UX.
Yes.
And I think because of the different startups that I've worked with in particular, their design aesthetic has varied somewhat significantly.
Yes.
We've always had dedicated designers.
Yes.
And that was the biggest gap that I was seeing in the one shot, was that, okay, we're thinking through product requirements, and we're talking about the engineering plan
Mm-hmm.
to execute on in scope, out of scope from the requirements. But Charles and I actually demonstrated a prompt that I wrote, I put into my Claude, he put into his,
Mm-hmm.
and we got completely different look and feels.
Yes.
And there was no discernible rhyme or reason as to why. And so it was like right then there, I paused, I went back, and was like, I need a design contract is how I'm thinking of it. So I took
Pretty much, yes.
all of the same principles, I think, for what you just walked through on like UX, UI. Here's how I want the reports to look, and I embedded the brand guidelines type of things. This was something I was making up on the fly, so I didn't really have the full primary, secondary, but
Yeah.
structure of what a brand guideline should look. So then I could not only build my dashboard, but every subsequent page should also stay aligned.
Exactly. And that's a great point, because Monveri is not the only thing that I've created. I've created probably close to 7 or 8 other apps already. ADHD.
What's just been the most fun thing to work on?
Monveri's actually been very fun, because a lot of my ideas coming to life. But I think the biggest non-business one is the embroidery library that I built.
Okay.
Because I do embroidery for Carolina Thread Place, and I have thousands and thousands of embroidery files. And I can remember what they look like, and me and names it's foggy. Like, I can remember a picture to the day I die. So I built it for people who have the same, mind as me, where you see the thumbnails. And this isn't using a library that's already out there. I went in, it developed the code to do it, to read the file, to know what it looks like. And now when I go to my library, and this is local, this is at home on a PC that will never go live. It's just for me, which is probably a mistake, but it's
you have
mine.
time to change it if you want.
Yeah, exactly. But it has, like, I have category set up, so I know it's a font, I know it's like, or an alphabet or a font, so it will pull up all of those, and it's not based on the file, it's based into the database. It's got all the categories and stuff. So if I want to look at, like, I want to see all my animal designs, I'll choose that, and then I can see every single embroidery file that I have that's animal, and it shows a picture of it actually look like it's stitched out.
Cool.
And this was built in February, so it's one of my first originals, and it was fun and aggravating because to tell it this is wrong and show pictures, this is what it should look like.
Yeah.
Pull it into the embroidery software, so we can see where all the dots are. Grab that, give it a screenshot of that. And it finally started reading a particular file format called DTL, which is a universal embroidery file. So, and it also reads PES, which is the brother format for brother embroidery machines. So it started looking at one point, it was just each color was a line. And then it started showing every color, but it was stacked. Like, no, then it was like all over the place, or some was a line. But when it finally hit and it showed, man, I ran to the house. It was like, it finally worked.
Yeah.
Because at one point I was like, I'm about to give up on this.
Okay.
But it finally started showing perfectly. And it's been it's functional, but it's also fun.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like it was also early in you playing with the tool, and
yes.
kind of, I think that there's value in listening to a podcast or one of the guys that's been building with this since last year, when you couldn't just give it a prompt and let it go and run for hours,
Yeah,
and they've been with it every step of the way. You just got to play with it.
exactly.
And sometimes I think you play with it where you give it an idea and see what it does first. Like, don't try to make your prompt perfect
Oh
to
yeah,
start. You don't know what it's going to give regardless. Like, see what comes out of it, what you tweak. And just like you're updating your markdowns or your skills,
yeah,
you update your internal ones personally for, okay, here's what I'm going to adjust, that way I interact with this tool differently and better later.
exactly. And there's a couple of projects that I had an idea and I just wanted to see what it would come out.
Yeah.
And that was my mom's website, catspecialneeds.org. It was very outdated. And I was like, hey, here's the website. What would you do differently?
That was you asked
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And 20 minutes later, I had a fully functional website, updated. It took pictures, put it where it needs to be, removed the outdated stuff. I'm like, okay, well, let's do a whole back office for her articles.
Cool.
Done. And everything was said and done pretty much within 2 hours.
That's amazing.
And that would have taken me probably a week of just heads down, focus work on that.
That's incredible. And that's not to be overly simplistic, but like a website, relatively simple,
Yes.
in the scheme of things. How long, without AI, if you had to guess, I don't know, it's just pulling numbers out of the air, do you think it would have taken you to have built Monveri? No other focuses, like you writing code.
Me writing code, it's actually interesting because I have a markdown file command. What would this be in human time?
Curious if you actually think that is accurate.
It is stated that of everything that's live now and what's in plan stage, because I have 40 more plants left. It keeps growing.
Besides the 7 you made this morning.
Yes.
Why did you make 7 more if you had 30 to 40 already?
Well, to be fair, the Android is about 15. So phases. So
yeah. Okay.
Each one's a phase. So the 7 is pickup, store pickup, which I didn't think about at the time, which is something I do offer. I mean, I actually have someone picking up something next week, and the whole RDS for the kitchen stuff. But Monveri, I've been working on just the back end and not in the great, nice, beautiful UI that I have now. I've been updating it for almost 3 years.
Wow.
So I would have like a central, and it just got to the point where there's too much. I'm just going to leave it alone because I do have all the other focus things. So to get it from there to where it is now, I would say it would probably have taken me 2 years. Wow. And that's learning Swift for the iOS and building that. Because that alone, per Claude, that would have been 18 weeks alone. And that includes learning Swift, and for like 3 weeks.
Which could be aggressive, and kind of depends on how
exactly
well you pick it up and what the learning curve is.
Exactly.
Swift's better than now I'm blanking on the old iOS language.
X-Base.
That's one that I thought there was another one before that.
I know X-Base is Mac itself.
Yeah, no, that
I don't know what the other one is. I know Angular's in there, or Javu or something else. I don't know.
Not important. We don't want to get stuck on that. But yeah, that's a long time.
It is. And
verse, you just say we're in early May, so 4 months, not even.
I started playing around in it end of February. Got my AWS in March.
So 3 months.
Yeah.
Less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's even helped me with not just code, but to get things situated. Like it actually helped me get the tap to pay license. Like it told me what to do. And I would feed it documents, say, read over this. What do I need to focus on? Because it knows what you have. And a lot of the documents, they'll be like, well, this doesn't apply to you. This doesn't apply. You're not a game. You're not a sweepstake. So ignore this part. You're not offering subscriptions within the app. So ignore this part. So here's your focus. Look at it this way. And I know there's other ones like, Adobe's got their own AI where it would summarize ChatGPT, Grok, all the other ones, Gemini. But because I'm developing in Claude Code, it knows what's going on to give better ideas.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about it missing context.
Exactly. And I do use ChatGPT and OpenAI for a lot of like my blog post, or not my blog post, but my social media posts and stuff. So I have it tied that way. And I just started using Victor AI for article writing.
Cool.
And that one's been interesting because I let my husband look at it, who has a master's in journalism, and he came back, he says, there's nothing I would change really. That was like, whoa. I even sent them to you. I know you've been busy, but yeah, so I have 2 articles down, and then of course I've gone in and made my changes. I mean, I don't like that. Let me do this, let me do that, So just put my touch on it because I have to have control.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing for lots of people. There's certainly some that are more willing to let go of the reins and just see what happens. I like that the tools seem very capable of, if I give it as clear direction as I can. I have voice guides if I wanted to do any of the writing specific to a brand, and then see what happens, and it gets me to that like 90% mark.
Exactly.
And then I can tweak. Then I'm polishing, and I go from having to be simultaneously the copywriter and editor and publisher to orchestrator, editor, polisher.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I've done. Gotten because I do have 2 articles that are pending right now, and what I do like about the Victor AI thing is, I just fed it my website.
Nice.
I said, here's my website. I want an article just explaining general, what we offer, what we're trying to fix, and all that stuff. And it came out with this one article. Why are people dropping the Shopify stack? And I went, oh,
okay.
And what's interesting is I've talked to so many small businesses who are doing it. So it wasn't like, oh, this is out of left field. No, this is actually happening. And I posted on LinkedIn, and the responses that I'm gotten is like, yes, I am too. I'm looking for something else. And I'm like, hey. And they've gone and read the article. And my second article, I forget the title, but it's already got like 150 views.
Nice.
Which is like, wow. It's only been posted since yesterday. I mean, I'm not like Wall Street Journal that's got millions of views, in a day, but to me, 150 views in it within 24 hours is amazing.
Yeah.
So all my marketing, throwing it out there, is starting to work.
I like it. So the AI tools have not only helped you build, but also helping you with the building of the business itself and the all of the other responsibilities that you have as a founder.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yes, it definitely has.
So you talked a good bit about how those AI tools are amplifying what you do. Claude, it sounds like, is kind of the most robust one that you're using.
Mhm.
Have you looked at the AI agents themselves? So either, Claude came out with a number of features, including routines and the ability to actually schedule tasks or workflows, pretty analogous to the OpenClaw type of AI agent systems. What are your thoughts on those if you've looked at them?
I have I have looked at the schedule, which is actually I'm starting to use so that it's reminding me because I actually had a scheduled thing this morning to look at Etsy to see if my app was approved for them so that that connection could happen. Um, it hasn't yet, but it's scheduled to remind me that, when I came in, connected my laptop and everything, and I said, "Hey, what's on the agenda today?" And it gave me, "Hey, this is what you scheduled for today."
Okay.
Inside of VS Code, because everything it's just Claude Code terminal is all
Yeah.
it is. So it pulls all those routines and stuff in, and it said, "Hey, these are what you got planned for today. This is what you got tomorrow." So it's like, okay, cool. So it kind of helps me with what to do. I still love my to-do list, but I've that's as amount about as much as that I've done with it. Um, I haven't played around with Claude Design yet,
Okay.
but I'm curious on that. I've heard mixed um, feedback on it. Some people say it's crap, and some people it's amazing. I haven't done it yet since that's my degree is in design. I'll be really curious. I want to really test it, and I do like it's got its own usage bar,
Yeah.
so I can really test it and not worry about losing my tokens for developments.
I've my experience playing with design so far is, I feel like, mixed bag, similar to getting started with any of the tools in the last few
Sure.
years of, yeah, I'm still experimenting with what it's doing and trying to really, dial in what I want it to do and how I want it to do it, so that way I can really be consistent with the look, feel, experience that I want it to have. Uh, I was impressed, though. I think, broadly speaking, if I just give it a general idea, um, I think I'd mentioned I built a Pokemon card ripping app just for
Hmm.
me and my kids, right? Which I
You
was,
shared it with me.
yeah, I was impressed. It's just a web app, but just relatively minimal context into Claude to have it write the code. I think just because there's so many reference points.
It is.
Pokemon's been around for 30 years, literally this year, so it has so much to pull from. It did great. And I think similarly, the design, when I asked, what would a mobile app version of this look like,
Hmm.
it looked beautiful. I would tweak things, I would change stuff. It was missing some little features that I would have wanted it to have, that I think I would have assumed would be a little bit more obvious. Like, I want to be able to add stuff to a collection, not just rip it and
Yeah.
where is it going to go? Like, just into the ether. Um, I still thought it was great. So probably worth exploring, I would think.
I love that it had the actual packaging.
Yeah.
I was shocked with that. I was just like, I'm like, okay, how much time did you spend on this?
Directly from Pokemon's APIs and free. They have I actually don't know what the limit is on the API rates, but it was just connected to them. It was
Wow.
awesome. Yeah.
Hey, if they have the API, why not, right?
Yeah. It was really cool. Okay, so w- what do you think is next for Monveri, or you and your AI partners, so to speak?
Um, hmm. Well, I am trying to, of course, I talked about getting the companion app on Android. Um, and so that's the biggest thing that definitely needs to happen is to get the up Android written, developed, and tested and ready to go. Um, the next thing and what I want to do once I get it's almost, to my opinion, close to being ready. I mean, it's ready. It's just ready to be done, like done. And start adding add-ons to it. I've had conversations about physical gift cards instead of the virtual ones, which I have virtual already set up. Um, uh, Having like a just a pure restaurant style, not having everything that's in the back that would be, which would be, KDP or, the kitchen display, um, pretty much competition of toast.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't go after small people.
I would say you Shopify's on your target list, Toast, this.
Square, see, eBay. No, I'm not doing an auction site. That's just too
Yet.
much.
Yeah.
No, there's too many of those already. But no, just so that because restaurants, a lot of restaurants, especially mom and pop shops, they tend to sell merchandise and stuff. And
Okay.
Toast isn't for that.
Yeah.
And Toast doesn't have, like, they're good for what they do, but they're bad for what they don't do.
Okay.
And they're bad at bars.
Hmm.
So there's a disconnect there. You can order, there's drinks, all that stuff, but it does not really, there's no way for inventory to be accurate with that. It's all guessing game. Um, with having bartending experience, actually built a Excel spreadsheet for a bar in Florence, South Carolina, and Myrtle Beach when I lived there. That I can weigh a bottle and tell you exactly how many shots are in there currently,
Nice.
and this was all in Excel, and I still have that file.
Okay.
So I have the formulas,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure bottles have changed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there's those types of things, and another restaurant like the one that just opened up here, Christie's Creole Kitchen, we were having a conversation, and she's like, her biggest problem is some servers are just putting in everything and not spacing out appetizers.
Hmm.
Well, why hasn't Toast come up with an idea, don't steal it, that you can put everything in, but it spaces it out automatically?
Yeah.
I kind of already have that built in Monveri as it is with the services. Like, there's your buffers. So let's say KCK, they want to put a 20-minute buffer between appetizers and main food. So appetizers get ordered, they get worked on, and then the system has a buffer set up. So these are little things that I want to be able to build for these, small restaurants, and just make their lives easier. So bar inventory, appetizer to dinner, that kind of buffer, unless, the appetizer is a dinner item, because
Yeah.
some people do that. So little things like that, as I talk to them, in in my head, you always are working on the next project while you're working on your current project. So that's why
Tends to happen.
that's next on my list is to go after restaurants as a whole. And I have a few little, like a coffee shop and a bakery that I'm talking with right now, trying to get them on board with Monveri because they use Square, and their pain points are pickup orders, and when you order online, you have to do this right here. So that's where the KDP part is coming into play,
Cool.
or whatever the initials are, the kitchen display things. Where if somebody orders, they're going to pick up in an hour. It takes the order and it puts it near that area, that time. Or if there's already too many orders for that time, it will say, okay, you got to choose later,
Yeah.
and stuff along that lines. Plus walk-ins coming in. So there's that's all that's being worked on actually right now.
Cool.
So that's future. That's coming out very soon.
I like it. Do you see yourself actually implementing one of the AI agents to help run the business or
Sorry.
help with the code?
It's already there.
Not just like the AI code where that one it sounds like you're close to it having more autonomy. You've got it, scheduled things, but you're still hand on the wheel a lot, it feels like. And then you let it go when you feel like it knows the course that you want it to be racing on, not just self-driving.
I will always have my hand on the wheel.
Okay.
Because my name is attached to it. And
fair.
The last thing I need is it to just take off and then throw in some bugs that I don't know about. And someone has a back door to my system. So I will always be hands-on. I still review all the code that happens. And this far, I've only had 3 or 4 minor bugs. And thank God CodeRabbit picked up some of the major ones that, because I let Claude does it, CodeRabbit reviews, and then I review after CodeRabbit comes back with nothing.
Okay.
Just because I want to make sure, full autonomy, no. I just, that's just me. I don't like that.
There may be some wisdom there from what you see in the market though too, and stepping away from just code building experiences. I think you see either the horror stories of the AI agents kind of taking a turn where they thought they were doing their task, whatever misinterpretation, however well intentioned, it took a turn. Yeah. Or I think even for the human in the loop systems, there's lots of examples where people are trusting and leaning on the AI a little too much, and now it's basically, well, my AI said that we should do this, and you're going, well, my AI said I should do this, and we're basically just advocating for AIs and not enough critical thinking in the process.
Exactly. And another horror, especially like right now when I don't have like a huge source of income, says I use AWS and it's, usage based. My husband has a friend who was using AWS and he just let his AI bot just go to town.
Yeah.
And I think, don't quote me, but I think he got a $1,500 bill from AWS.
Not great. I've heard worse.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mean, mine hasn't hit the triple digit. It's been between $50 and $80, so that's been good. And this is me using it a lot.
Yeah.
So
I hit triple digits just from accidentally getting in a cache loop where every single call was effectively trying to run at several 100,000 tokens.
Oh,
because it had just gotten stuck.
Yeah.
And so what should have been $5-6 a day, 2 days in a row, it hit like 60 to 75, and then I caught it, and I'm like, well, that's a painful and annoying experience, but that was just the AI agent doing what it was supposed to, but it didn't have a system to help it clean and
the no kill switch
efficiently. Yeah. So we fixed that.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern is I don't want it to just get into like an endless loop or something and it builds stuff that wasn't even in the plan, autoscope, or it bug introduction is a huge thing. I mean, human factor as well, because AI is built on humans, so there's always going to be a bug somewhere in one way or shape form. But if you have so many protocols in place to kind of prevent that, I think is the better bet.
You're clearly really technical. What do you think would be your advice for somebody that's been edge of their seat, maybe dipping their toes in the water, but hesitant to actually use these tools and start building something?
For someone who was there, it's start small. Start with just a small little pet project, and just see how it goes. Um, don't go head full into a major project like I did, because there's a lot of you'll start redoing some stuff because you don't know when to tell it to do this or do that. It's it's a really ultimately it's a really good tool if you give it the right instructions. You don't have to be like, I want this line to be 4 points, I want this line to be exactly here, blah blah blah. You don't have to do that. So you don't have to like focus on the small things. You can give it clear big instructions. um like I said, start with a pet project, start at the lowest tier, the $20. You'll use it fast, but it's a good entry.
Yeah.
I'm all the way up to max, and I don't hit the overages, thank God. At the middle one, I was hitting overages still, but I'm also doing massive plannings and massive development and stuff. But I would say start at the low tier, start a pet project. We all in development, you always do a catalog of your games or your DVDs or your music or cards. You always, that's kind of like the starting thing, and a lot of people do that. As much as a cliche that is, do it.
Yeah.
And you'll see the power behind these tools. And once you get that experience, then you can say, okay, let's look at it this way. Let's add this, let's do this, let's create a new thing, do this. And the biggest thing I would tell anyone, even if you're constantly using these tools, have a plan. Tell it to build a plan first. Do not say, go code this. You will get some crazy stuff. So it's okay to put it in plan mode and say, hey, let's plan this out. Tell it to plan it.
Yeah.
And tell it, do not code. Because sometimes it will ignore that little plan thing. I've learned that the hard way. But planning, having a plan is the best advice.
Cool. Well, I think we've covered a lot, and really fun to learn more about your full process and a little bit different take than we've done at this point so far. Only a few episodes in, but you're really diving deeper into an experience of using the AI to really build one really big project, big software platform, the full stack SaaS platform.
2.1 million lines of code.
I was just off by a factor of 10 earlier. Yeah.
2.1 million lines of code, 6,000 table columns.
Wow.
And I'm considered small.
Pretty wild, man.
It is. And that's one store.
That's really wild, really cool. Very curious and excited to see what happens next.
Yeah, me too.
Cool. Anything else you think is important that you are interested in about your experience, excited about, that you haven't shared yet?
I'm excited to get people on the platform. Obviously, there's a pay as you go, which is free monthly, and it's only 1% platform on top of the processing. So, like, if any of your watchers, listeners, or however you or this podcast if you are thinking about it, definitely check out monveri.co. That's my website. Yes, I want to
Shameless plug. You're here. You might as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So check out the website, check out the blogs, and just, I'm excited to get people started on this because it'll save them money ultimately, and two, they can, as my tagline says, run their business and not their software, and make their software work for them.
Yeah.
Instead of them sitting there for hours and hours trying to get all these things connected to.
And sounds like a different level of control, and you've got a different ability to implement feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I love feedback.
Yeah.
Bad or
cool.
good. But thank you for having me. This was fun.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah. I had fun. I like getting to hear what everybody's doing, the use cases for how you can use AI vary so significantly from technical applications, building something, software, to how are you using it to enhance personal life, work life, solve problems. They come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, but
Exactly.
it's really cool. So thank you as well, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you.
All right.